A gentle response deflects fury, but a harsh word makes tempers rise. Even though this principle is one of the most effective instruments of peace I've experienced, it's often dismissed because it requires responsibility, maturity, and humility, i.e., a humble heart, something our addiction to immediate results has trained us to believe is too slow, does not calculate in an ROI, and therefore not worthy of our time or effort. But what if, in a gentle way, we can shake the world, as Gandhi suggests? Instead, there's a frightening arrogance smearing humanity right now, frightening because the bombastic expression of entitlement is pervading the most sacred places, our homes, families, and our personal freedom. I know not everyone uses volume, accusation, intimidation, or threats to bully their agenda into other people's lives, but isn't it interesting that the few that do can cause such disturbance, disorder, and division within our culture and relationships? Studies show, more than ever, people use fear, condemnation, coercion, and demoralizing scare tactics to gain presence, position, and power. And while these tactics aren't new, it's intensified by the internet. When people don't get what they want, when they want it, and how they want it, they immediately indict with unconcerned casualness. And because exaggerated bad news sells, that's what gets airtime. And now violence, venom, and violations have become entertainment. Have we learned nothing from history? Instead of browbeating, what if we had conversations? What if humility, kindness, goodness, and self-control weren't rhetoric, but instruments of safety, meaning, purpose, peace, and love? And what if conversations were sacred because conversations invite participation, not just pontification? And what if we, through our storytelling, like our ancestors, were able to find defendable and viable solutions that could be far more valuable, relevant, and sustainable than shame, blame, and calling names, even if those conversations are challenging, correcting, and convicting spiritually, emotionally, and mentally? We've confused opinions with convictions, ignorant of the fact that opinions change depending on the intensity of our preferences at any given time. Convictions, however, are grounded on truth and on our conscience. But since we don't even know what truth is anymore and everything is relative, opinions, especially loud ones, hold sway. In 1963, someone dared to defy opinions and boldly led with his convictions instead. He told a story, he shared a dream, and invited us into a conversation. This dream was not only for him, but for all of us, and it was of all of us. In fact, his dream was in all of us too. We just didn't know it yet. Interestingly, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream was for us to awaken from the slumber of all the hateful indictments we've held against one another. He wanted to unite the people and to live under our namesake, the United States of America. Now, a generation later, I'm asking us to dream again. For the next generation, your generation, to have conversations about what kind of legacy we could leave for you and for my children and grandchildren. What story would we tell them? I want to offer 4 principles I hope will inspire you in the days ahead. Principle 1, be an essential mind. Thinking for yourself is not only essential, it's vital more than ever. Critically read articles, posts, and books. Critically think about problems, data, or situations. This is not being critical as in being negative or condemning, but critical as in to critique and to analyze. Don't be afraid to examine the worthiness, validity, and truth of a matter. Use wisdom, assess both sides of a position, and use your voice to stand for good, even if it's unpopular. There's no need to hurry. Take your time to not only grab onto knowledge, but to apprehend understanding. Principle 2, be an essential heart. Caring and loving others well is not about being naive, codependent, weak, or a doormat. It's about keeping the kindness factor alive even when it's hard to, when someone disagrees with us, when someone has been unfair, and/or when we've made a mistake. Being kind to others and ourselves is one of the most courageous things we can do. Principle number 3, Be an essential voice. Sometimes it's not our place to say something, not to spread rumors, not to engage in tit-for-tat, bullying, or in one-upmanship. That's not kind, it's not noble, and it's not what essential leaders do. That said, there will also be times when you must say something, when you must be a voice for the voiceless. And knowing when to speak, what to speak, how to speak, and why you must speak will partly be a function of maturity, experience, wisdom, sensitivity, and necessity. But part of it will also be a function of courage. When you don't feel prepared, when you don't feel old enough, strong enough, educated enough, or savvy enough, when you're taken by surprise and you find yourself in a situation where you can't but have to speak up, for doing anything less would be collusion with darkness. You may have to speak up against things that are popular. But just because something is popular doesn't mean it's true or real. And just because someone denies the existence of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is especially true in social media, which is both a blessing and a curse in a variety of ways. In marketing, we talk a lot about branding yourself or your business. But a brand is more than a logo. A brand is, in very simple terms, what you are known or recognized for. So let me ask you, what kind of brand are you building for yourself right now? If you're not sure, then this is a great time to start thinking about it. Ask yourself, do you want to be known and recognized as an essential leader with an essential mind, an essential heart, and an essential voice for the world? Do not doubt that you can be. All things are possible, and not only can the world be in your hands, it is in your hands. You are the generation that can do anything. You're the fastest learners, the most equipped, and the most aware generation. You were born for such a time as this. And the fourth principle is this, the essential cost. Everything costs something. Whether it's a momentary thrill or a long-term investment like a dear relationship, there is always a cost to pay, and the financial part isn't what costs the most. What costs the most is your ego, your need to be right, your time, patience, effort, commitment, tenacity, and faith, to stand alone if we must. But this is the price you and I pay for our character. Never cut corners on your character, and though it may appear to cost you everything, pay the price. You'll never regret it. Why? Because you're worth it. Because you're priceless. Now, why are these principles important? Because you need to know you were made for this very hour of history. Don't let anyone intimidate you. Be strong and very courageous. The world is in your hands because you are being equipped as an essential leader with an essential mind, an essential heart, and an essential voice. You see, so many people have silenced their voices. They've either become desensitized to the vitriolic threats within mainstream media and social media, they're afraid of it, or they doubt their voice will matter. And maybe they're secretly waiting for someone else to be their voice until they can find their own. So I ask you, what if you were that voice? What if we had the audacity to use kindness and gentleness to free our children and our people from the slavery of human trafficking and the bondage of fear, intimidation, and murder of the tongue? Would we? Could we be that brave? Could your voice make that difference? Yes, it does. In fact, what if it's your voice that matters most? What if it's your voice that reminds us of our forgotten dreams? What if it's your voice that quells the lofty rants about human rights and helps us to remember our right to be human? What if it's your voice that impels a ceasefire from the hateful words that steal, kill, and destroy? Instead of our tongues being used as weapons of warfare, we can wield its power to create, innovate, and beautify. We can use our voices to lead us out of smallness to greatness, out of the mundane to the extraordinary, and out of slavery into freedom. An old Indian proverb says, "When the sun goes down tonight, it will take a part of your life with it." So, when you go to sleep tonight, think about what you would dare to dream. Would you dare to be an essential mind, heart, and voice to bring kindness back to the world and to this planet? Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We may have gotten here from different ships, but we're all in the same boat now." So, instead of abdicating to the divisive few, let's be the remnant that empowers others to be kind, ignite hope, possibility, and unity, one voice, one dream, one conversation at a time. Instead of voices that incite, let's be voices that invite. Instead of voices that indict, let's be voices that unite. The United States of America. The world is not only in your mind, in your heart, and in your voice. It's in your hands. Thank you.